Howdy! I'm Karen from Karen Dawn Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to work a yarn over, so this little eyelet in your knitting, in various situations. So between two knit stitches, between two purl stitches, between a knit stitch and a purl stitch, and between a purl stitch and a knit stitch. So the most important thing to keep in mind when you're working your yarn overs is to make sure that your stitch orientation remains the same. What I mean by that is that you want the front leg of your stitch to be in the front of the needle. So if we take a look at this knit stitch, you can see if we compare the front leg and look at the back leg, see how it's going from this way to this way, the front leg is forward. So when you have a yarn over, which I have right here, you want that same stitch orientation. So you notice how my yarn over is positioned. This front leg is forward, just like the stitches on the either side of it. So let's take a look at this stitch orientation when you're actually working the next row. So if you look, when I'm purling, I am inserting my needle into the front leg of the stitch. And so this was a stitch that just is a regular stitch. The next stitch is my yarn over stitch, and once again you can see how that stitch orientation, this front leg is forward, and that's the leg that I stick my needle into. And here's a regular stitch again. The front leg is the one that is coming forward, same orientation as that yarn over. If you miss the orientation on the yarn over, what you're basically doing is twisting the stitch, and that's going to close up the yarn over and give you a much smaller hole, which if you're working a lace stitch pattern and you want the holes to show, that will take away from your lace stitches. So make sure you're watching your orientation for your yarn overs. Each one that I'm going to show you, pay careful attention to the way the yarn is wrapped so that you can create that same stitch orientation. The first situation is when you're going to make a yarn over between two knit stitches. So let's go ahead and knit one stitch, and then we're going to work a yarn over. To do that, you want to take the yarn and bring it between your needles, wrap it around like that, and then it's going to go back toward the back of your needle like you're ready to create another knit stitch. And there is the yarn over. So one more time, I've done a knit stitch, so I'm going to bring the yarn between my two needles, and then it goes toward the back, ready to create another knit stitch. And there we have the yarn over again. Now we're going to create a yarn over between two purl stitches. So go ahead and purl. And now what we want to do is take the yarn, and it's in the front. You want to wrap it around the needle, just like that. And now the yarn's in the front again, and you're ready to purl the next stitch. So let me show you again. You've got the yarn in the front from your purl stitch. You're wrapping it around the needle, coming in between. The yarn's in front again, and you're ready to purl. And here you can see you've got one yarn over there and one yarn over there. Now let's work a yarn over between a knit and a purl stitch. So we're going to do the knit stitch first. Now our next stitch is going to be a purl. Normally what you would do to purl is bring the yarn to the front and purl, but we want to make a yarn over, so this time we bring the yarn to the front and then give it one more wrap, bring it back to the front, and then you can purl the next stitch. So let me show you again. We need to knit a stitch first, and then the next stitch is going to be a purl. So normally you bring the yarn in front, but we need a yarn over, so you just wrap the yarn once again, and now the yarn's in front and you're ready to purl. And here we go. There's a yarn over, and right there is our other yarn over. Now we're going to do a yarn over between a purl stitch and a knit stitch. So let's go ahead and purl. So normally if you were going from a purl to a knit, you would bring the yarn back around to the back to knit. But this time what you're going to do is leave the yarn in the front and then do your knit stitch. So in essence, you are wrapping that yarn when you're doing the knit stitch and creating your yarn over right there. So let me show you that again. We have a purl stitch. Now we want to create a yarn over and then do a knit stitch. So leave the yarn in the front, insert your needle for a knit stitch, and then when you wrap the yarn for your knit stitch, you're also creating the yarn over. And there you go. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I am Karen Dawn on Ravelry and Karen Dawn Knits on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks, and happy knitting!